File management is about organizing your files in a logical, clear way so that when you need to find a file, you can find them, you can find it easily. So it's like organizing your wardrobe. You know, you could have a drawer for socks, drawer for t-shirts, and drawer for hats and so on. So when you need to put some clothes on for, let's say, to go play basketball, you know where to find your shorts, you know where to find your basketball socks and your hats and so on quickly, rather than going all over your room to find them. So one way to organize your files is put them in certain folders. So in this case, I have created these folders in kind of blue rectangular shapes, and it's starting from the left. So that's like representing, for example, your whole room, the documents, and in it you may have a business or personal and personal. So it could be, okay, that's your wardrobe, and this could be your dresser. And within the dresser you have the drawers, and within the wardrobe you could have upper, middle, bottom, and so on. In it you can have boxes and so on. So you know how it gets. And within the box or drawer you have files, or you could have subfolders that contains subsequent subfolders or files and so on. So also file management is about choices. So depending on how extensive you want to have your file management structure, you can have a subfolders, and it can go on and on. Or if you want to, let's say, make it kind of a broader, then it means you have folders, subfolders, and maybe subfolders, but you don't want to go on and on in terms of, you know, creating more folders inside of folders. Because if you have too many folders going deeper and deeper, then not only finding files are harder, but also finding folders would be hard, and that will defeat the purpose in terms of keeping things organized enough so that you can find things easily. So you kind of have to make a decision whether, when you have a bunch of files that belong to one concept or folder, do you really want to create a folder for that? Or can you combine those files with other existing folder? Okay, so those are the kind of decisions that you're going to have to make. It's up to you and up to the circumstance, and then you can probably have a good sense whether you should have a new folder or use existing folder and not. Okay, so the files are here in this diagram. The files are in green boxes, and they have file extensions such as XLSX, that's for Excel, and here the planning, that's a DOCX, that's a Word document. And for example, this, let me just go ahead and kind of walk you through. Let's say this is the main, the top, and the base, or whatever you call it. So this is where you start, and I divide it into two, and one is the business and the other one is personal. And in the business I have three subfolders: finance, employees, and contracts. On the same level, I have this Word document. And then on the finance folder, I have subfolder called budget, ledger, and a file called planning.docx. And on the budget, I have 2012.xlsx and 2013 as xlsx. You can kind of see that these are for budget files about finance and business. So in a way, you could read this diagram in a way of reading a sentence. So you could say, my document about my business, in particular, it's about finance, and in the finance, it's about budget, and budget 2012 or budget 2013. So by reading the this folder or the directory name, you can kind of figure it out what this file is, even though actual file name is very simple, does not necessarily reveal a whole lot, but it says 2012.xlsx. So this is one way to manage your files and folders. And the other approach would be, okay, even though you give a very clear folder and subfolder names, you still probably want to have very descriptive file name. So let's say a general rule of thumb in terms of giving a file name is that when you look at the file name without opening the file, just look at the file name and you look at it, and let's say a year from now, can you make a good estimate or guess about what that file is about by simply reading the file name? So in this case, this could be named as 2012 budget instead of just 2012. Or it could be 2012 budget by your name, if there are more than one accountant or people who have access to the budget files. Okay, so that's basic idea, and I may have a few questions later on. For example, how about this? So on the personal side, and I have a personal and I have a budget. So upper side is for business, and the lower side is for my own personal. And here's a budget, and I have file name 2012.xlsx, which is the same name as the one for the business. So are these the same file or different files? So that's a question. Same name, but two different locations. Are they the same or not? Let's say another question would be, okay, I want to create a new budget file for my business. Which folder should I save it under? Or another question would be, okay, I have a new entry, accounting entry. Where should I find that accounting ledger file? And or another question, next question could be, okay, I have a contractor, a business contractor calls me and asks me specifics about our contract. Where should I find that document? Or let's say I want to reorganize my business in terms of my employees and responsibilities and so on. and then I want to know who has certain skill sets for this new position. Where could I find that information? For example, if I go to resume and then find their resume files, perhaps I can read their credentials when they apply for the job. That'll be an example. Another example could be, okay, I need to write a check or checks for wages for my employees. Where should I find the dollar amounts, payroll amounts? And which folder should I go? Where should I start? So those are the kind of questions, that could happen on any business day. So let's go ahead and create at least a part of this folder structure using Windows Explorer. So to open Windows Explorer, you can just right click on Start button, and then I don't think you can see it clearly, but once you right click, if you left click, which is normal click, that's not what I want. Right click, and then there's a little blip, and then click on Open Windows Explorer. And Windows Explorer is a file management application in Microsoft Windows operating system. So I'm going to just copy this, the basic structure of the folders, and then create it here. Okay, so first I'm going to go to on the left pane. So I have left pane and then right pane, and whatever you see here on the left pane, if you click on it, you'll see the contents on the right. So Snagit right here is inside of documents. And also you'll notice a little triangle, and so for example here, that's triangle right there, right next to library. If you click on it, it collapses, it kind of shrinks it up, and if you click on that triangle again, it opens it up and it expands. And so I noticed that the triangle is right here on the documents, so I click on it and then it expands. So let's say I would start from documents. So on the documents, well, actually I changed my mind. I'm gonna go to my documents. So my documents, okay, what's my documents? Okay, I have a Snagit, and I'm gonna just leave it there. Okay, that's my recording folder. So under my under documents, I'm going to create a new folder. So click on new folder, and it's going to be named business. Let me, you know what? I'm gonna let me see if I can delete it. Okay, or I'll just go ahead and delete. Right click and delete. I may regret it, but that's okay. I can fix it later. So anyway, so under documents, I have business folder, and then create a new folder, and it's going to be personal. And then you will see, as soon as I create a folder, subfolder inside of my inside the documents folder, I can just expand it. Okay, I see. This is like a phantom. So whatever that I have in the documents is also in my documents. It's kind of confusing. So let me just stick to this my documents folder. And inside of my documents, I have a business folder and I have a personal folder. So as I click on business folder, on the right pane, it just becomes empty. What's going on? Well, let's look at the address box. It says my documents, and inside of that I have a business. So I'm looking inside of the business folder, and of course I didn't save anything in the business folder. That's why it's empty. So let's get out. So to get out, click on the object on the left side right there, and now I have these two folders because I'm looking inside of my documents folder. Okay, so that's how you navigate. You can go click here on the left pane and you can see the content, or you can click this and you can get out, or you can get in here, or then to get out you can use the navigation up here, use the address box. Okay, so you can, that's how you can navigate. So go inside by clicking here, and to get out you can get out this way, or you can get out that way. Okay, so this is kind of thing that you kind of play with. And of course the key thing is that looking at the address box here, and that tells you where, what you are looking at. You're looking at the content of my documents folder, and I have these two. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on creating these subfolders: finance, employees, and contracts. So how do I go inside of a folder? Well, you double click. So double click business, and I am inside of the business, and I'm going to create a finance folder. So click on new folder and name it finance. Another way to create a new folder is just right click on a blank space here, and then click on new, and then folder, and I'm going to name it as employees. Okay, again, right click, new folder, and this time it's going to be contracts. And notice that here the planning.docx, that's the Word file. So I'm going to go to Word, open Microsoft Word. This is the same document that shows that, and in fact shows the map. I'm going to go ahead and open new Word document, and then I'm going to put a title, planning, and so it doesn't matter what I put in here. The key thing is when I save it, what am I saving as? That's the key thing. So file, save as. So my computer. So click on browse, and so let's see, it's inside of business. Okay, let me just, okay, let me just cancel it for now, okay, because I want to show you. Okay, I want to show you, go back there, I'm going to minimize this and restore that. So okay, so where am I? And then minimize this and bring it over here. Alright, so here we are. So I'm going to name this file as a planning.docx. That's under business folder, which is under documents folder. So let me do it again, file, save as, and then click on browse, and okay, let me just squeeze a little bit more, and then here, my documents, same here, documents, okay, and then I go inside of business by double clicking on it, and then I have contracts, employees, and finance. So notice that finance, employees, and contracts. And I have planning.docx. So here, that's the name of the file. I do not have to put .docx because this is a Word document. So this is going to be saved as type Word document, which means that it'll add the file extension docx automatically, so I don't have to put myself. Okay, click on save. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this Word file, Word document. And let's go back to Windows Explorer and take a look at it here, right there. So I have these three folders, and then I have Word file. So I'm just basically mimicking or following this plan, finance, employees, and documents, and planning.docx. And if you click on it, actually, if you click on the file, and you can see, you can expand it even more. You can see what this file is about. So it is size 11.3 kilobytes, and then where does it say it's a Microsoft Word document? Okay, so you can see some meta information, meta file information. Okay, so that's good. So let me just move on to right this side. And then I'm going to continue on the finance side, and then budget, ledger, and planning.docx. Okay, did I make a mistake? Oh yeah, no, I did not. Thank you, thank goodness. Okay, because I just noticed that, oops, I have a planning.docx over here too. Well, the question is, this and that file are they the same? I would say no, because this planning is for business and this planning is for finance. That's how I look at it. Okay, this planning is for finance and this planning is for business. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go inside of the finance. Okay, I'm doing this part. So inside the finance, and I have a budget, ledger, and planning. So again, budget, enter, and then click new folder, ledger, and then enter, and click somewhere else, and I have a new Word document. So I'm going to go ahead and click on here and file, new document, and restore it. And this one you can minimize it, and this is going to be planning for finance. Okay, and again, it doesn't matter what I type in the content. The key thing is what I saved as and where I save it. So save as, and I go inside of the business, and then inside the business I have finance, and I have a budget. Okay, so I don't think you can see it. Let me just go ahead and cancel it, and I can move it over here. Okay, so yeah, right here. All right, so file, save as, and then click on browse, and then click on double click on business, and inside the business double click on finance. That's where we are right there, finance, and I have budget, ledger, and ledger, and this is the right place. And also it says right here it's inside the finance, and that's where we're supposed to be. Okay, so take a moment whenever you save any file, take a moment and just point at this address box and kind of read it aloud so your ears can hear it. You can hear what you say. You can read through your through ears, and also you can look at it. And I'll do both because sometimes my eyes, my vision can fool my brain, so I use my ears and kind of force my brain to actually hear it and process it and compare it and make a more clear and accurate decision in terms of deciding whether I'm saving in the right place or not. Okay. All right. So then another thing is important part is that planning the file name, planning. Okay, and then go ahead and click on save. So important part is that the location and the file name, and then go ahead and click on save. And I'm going to close this, and there. Okay, so I'm going to just pause here because I think you got the idea of how you can add more folders and how you can put files in them. And also here you can see, if you point at it, you can see kind of triangle shows up because on the business, because that means the triangle means there's a subfolder inside. There's a folder inside. And here personal, I haven't created any folder yet, so therefore there's no triangle. So that's nothing to expand anymore. But here I have something more to expand because I have subfolders. And then also here the finance folder has the triangle because there's something more to expand. And there's a budget, and on the finance, that's the content. I click on the finance, these are the contents such as budget, ledger, and planning. And you can see it down here too. But of course it shows only the folders, not the files. So if you want to see the content of the finance, you click on it and you'll see it on the right pane. That's how it works. And on the left side it shows the folder structure. They showed only the folders, and you can collapse them, and then you can expand them. You can go as deep as you want in terms of a folder structure. Of course, right here I click on the budget, that's the finance, that is inside of a business. It's currently empty. And I also can click on our point, look at this address box that's inside the budget, and that's which is inside of a finance, which is inside of the business. If you want to get the URL, the actual address, you can point and click on it, and it shows the kind of traditional computer code structure. So here's my document, there's a document, business, finance, budget, and you can go on, right? All right, so that's it in terms of creating, and I'll let you create the rest here on your own. And let's say here is the potential problem. Okay, so if you have, let's say, this document, the planning.docx document, and then planning.doc document over here, these are two different files. No matter what the contents might be, there are two different files because they are in two different locations. And of course you cannot have the same file name within the same folder. You just cannot. If you try to do that, then the operating system will add like number 1, number 2, and number 3, and so on automatically. But you can have the same file name in two different locations or two different folders. And that's the situation here. But the potential problem for having the same file name would be, let's say you're working on business plan, Word document. At the same time, you're working on finance planning document at the same time. And then you may get confused because they have the same file name. So to avoid that, you want to give more specific detail to the file name. So for example, you could change this file name from planning to business planning, and change this file name from planning to finance planning. So even though you've opened these two files at the same time, you'll have less chance to be confused. So okay, so how do we change the file name? All right, so let's go ahead and change the first one. Change this planning.docx that's under the business. So we're going to change it as a business. We're going to change to a business planning. So let's go to My Documents, and then Business. Double click here and change this file to Business Planning. So you can right click on the file name and then rename. So click rename, and then you get into an editing mode. So click and use the arrow key, move to the front and add the word business, one space, and to get out of the editing mode you click something else. Okay, that's the important step that you have to do, otherwise you stay in the editing mode and you inadvertently change or modify the file name. So that's not good. Okay, so that's that, and then let's take care of this file that is under finance. So where's the finance? Finance is right here. So double click to go inside the finance, and we are inside the finance folder, and there's a planning file. Again, we're going to change that to finance planning. So right click, rename, and then we're going to name it as finance, one space, enter. Okay, so let me just go ahead, and that's how you change the name. And let me just go ahead and put one more subfolder inside of the finance. So inside the budget. So let me go inside of the budget, and then I'm going to add new folder. And I'm sorry, not the new folder. Oopsie. Okay, here's a good example. How do you get rid of the file or folder? So right click, and then not cut, but delete. And yes. All right, so here on the budget, just like here, okay, I want to have two files. So that's the budget 2012.xlsx. So go ahead and open Excel, and then let's assume that you have some contents here, and then I'm going to File, Save As, and go to My Documents, and go to Business, and Contracts, Employees, or Finance. Okay, this is about budget, so I'll go to Finance. And so budget or ledger? Well, it's a budget, so I'm going to go into budget. Double click, and I'm going to name it as a 2012. Okay, again, I don't have to put XLX here because it is an Excel file. It'll automatically add it. So click on Save, and I'm going to close it. So I'm gonna, let's say I'll just type it in 2012 budget. Yep. Enter, and I'm gonna save it because since I already saved it, I can just click on the save button, and I'm gonna close this. All right, and back here I have that file. All right, so oftentimes when you have established a kind of the budget file, for example, you can perhaps just recycle it in a way, so you can keep the template. So I can create a 2013 file based on 2012, so that I can reuse all the formulas and all the formatting and all that kind of things. So I just go ahead and reopen 2012, and I change the details such as the year and of course actual data as well. And then I go to, I don't click on save because it will replace 2012 file. I don't want that, so go to file, then save as, and save it as. Inside the current folder is budget, so I go to budget. Otherwise, click on browse. So click on budget, and I already have 2012, and I'm going to change that. Click and replace it to 2013, and then click on save. And I'm going to close this, and notice that I have two files, 2012 and 2013. And notice the first one was created at 2:56 a.m. and the second one was created 2:57 a.m. So you can see not only they have the two different file names, but also different times. Okay, so again, when I just look at these files with the Windows Explorer, it's very clear. It's business, finance, budget 2012, business, finance, budget 2013. But if I open these two files, it may get confused because it doesn't show the folder names. So you may want to change this file to more specific. So let's say file, right click, and then rename, and I could say 2013 budget. Enter, right click, rename, and click at the end, one space, budget. So there. So you just looking at the file name, it becomes a lot clearer, right? Or if you want to be a little bit more specific, let's say if you have more than one accountant, you could say, 2012 budget by Yun Mo. And then you could have another file for another accountant or another manager, right? Each manager can have his or her own budget. So by looking at the file name, you can make a pretty good estimate of what this file is about. Okay, and let's say for whatever reason for example, you could you want to make a backup, and how you can copy the file. So to make a backup, you can basically you're copying a file to a new location. So let's go back to my documents, and then I can go, let's say I don't want to, okay, why don't I create a new folder here. So click on new folder, and name it as backups for business. And then let's go to business, finance, budget. And so let's say I want to make a backup of this. So right click, copy, and then go out to business. No, I think I'm gonna have to go out to, well, let's go to a business first. Okay, do I have my backups folder? No, I have to go out one more step up, my documents, and there is my business backups for business. So I double click, and then I need to paste it. So I cut it. Oh no, I copied it. I copied it and right click and paste. And now I have a backup, the same file that is inside of budget, that one and that one. Now I have a backup, so because I copied it. So let me just go ahead and delete this. Okay, press the delete key, or you can right click and delete. Let's say let's go back to the budget, and let's say you want to delete something. Okay, you want to move the file. Okay, why would you move the file? Well, it could be any number of reasons. Perhaps you want to close the budget folder and create a new folder, and whatever reason. Okay, so you want to move it. Well, there are many different ways to move files. Kind of a traditional way is click and cut it, and then kind of see that the icon is a little bit lighter. Okay, and then let's say you let's go to the backup again, the backups for business. Come on. It's kind of acting it up. My computer is a little bit tired. Okay, so I'm in the backup for business folder. Right click and paste it. So when you cut it, or when you copy it to put it where you want it, you paste it. So same for cut and copy. And this time, since I cut it, when I go back to budget, that file is gone because I cut it up, I cut it off, and then I put it here. Okay, so that's the difference. Another way to move it is open up your folder structure here, so you can see the target. So let's say I want to move it back. Okay, so I see the budget folder open up inside of the finance, and then go to my backup. Excuse me. Go to my backup file folder, and then I see this file. Okay, that's the file that I want to move. So I click on the icon and drag it and move it over to the target folder, in this case the budget. So when it's highlighted, and you just let go, and now inside of my backups for business folder, it's empty, it's gone. And go to on the finance and budget folder, and it's right there. So that's how you move the file. If you were to move more than one file, you can just click and hold it and drag it, and you can select more than one file, or you could use Control key to select. If you want to select a range of cells, you can use the Shift key and select. The Control key allows you to select files that are not adjacent to each other. Shift key allows to select the files between the first and the second file. And then you can move it together to the backup. It's gone. Go to backup. It's there. So let's see here. Let's see. Right click. You can undo move. So the last operation that you have done, you can undo it. Just like Excel and Word, you can undo typing or editing. You can undo. And then go back here, budget. Okay. And I think that's basically it. Changing the folder name is basically the same way. But you probably may need to use the left pane, or in this case I have subfolder, and you can change right click and then oopsie, right click and rename. Also you can copy or cut folders as well, just like you did with a file. And I think that's basically it. And I guess the tools that you could use is a search. The Windows search fairly good, so you can just type the name or name of file, or even the contents of the file. Then you can just type it in the search, and then Windows will search and give you a list, and then you can find it that way. Alright, so I think that's it. We'll see any more. I think that's it. Okay. Right, thank you. And let me know if you have any further question about file management.